Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is October 23rd, 2023. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here on the digital I can't get that right ever, no matter how many times I say it. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here on DYOR Live. I still didn't say that right either. One of these days I'll get it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm on my 100th show here on DYOR Live, and I still can't hit my intro. Anyway, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking in the digital media world. I'm so happy to be hosting DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. It is October 23rd, 2023. It's nearing the end of the year already. You know how you know this? Because Christmas ornaments are up and decorations are up in all the stores. That's right, we went from short sleeves to snow shovels, just like that. Gonna have Christmas time here soon. Already yesterday when I was walking through the mall, I walked through the mall and I was like, hey, I better start paying attention to things that my daughter might like. Yeah, it's Christmas time. You know who's going to be the Grinch this year, though? That's right, the U.S. government. Got a good show for you today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure Pedro is going to be with us, so we'll get right into the guts of the show today. We are talking about kicking off this week, talking about regulation. Because, like I always say, it gets more interesting every week in this crypto. It gets more interesting, and the more we have going on, the more little things slide underneath. We've been focusing on the SEC and all the good news that comes from Ripple beating them up, and we let all the other things slide through and without much fanfare. And there's a lot of things going on that could fundamentally change crypto and DeFi in the US and basically make a criminal out of every 12-year-old out there. Sucks, but US government is really good at what's called mission creep. Not being a creep, or their Radiohead song Creep, but mission creep. And that's when they're given by Congress a job to do. We want you to do X. And then within a couple of years, they're doing X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, Q, all this type of stuff. Because what these groups do is instead of just taking their mandate from Congress and saying, all right, let's go do this, somebody comes in and says, all right, we need to analyze the market. We need to analyze what's going on, make sure we're doing our job. And so what they do is they conduct a study, and the studies by U.S. government and government bodies always find things that they're doing wrong. And so once they find things doing wrong, they call it a gap. We found a gap, ladies and gentlemen. Then they hire a policy writer. And as soon as a government agency hires its first policy writer, it's all over. That's when their agency becomes just another one of the, as they call it, the swamp, and they start promulgating rules and regulations in order to promote people's careers and not really to benefit the people of the United States. And that's what's happening here. But before we get into that, let's give a little shout out to everybody watching here today. Let's see if LinkedIn has got the comments right. Yeah, no, of course they don't. Let's welcome everyone. Share, like, comment, follow, whatever. Just do it. Just do it, ladies and gentlemen. Just do it. Let me drop these over to LinkedIn. My comment machine doesn't always work with LinkedIn. Doesn't always work with LinkedIn. There we go. Got the LinkedIn version going now. LinkedIn's been good to us. Got some good views on it. In fact, most of the people, our highest viewers, are always on LinkedIn. So I make sure we go live on LinkedIn whenever we have a good topic to talk about, especially when we have a guest. Speaking of guests, so far I don't have any lined up this week. We're only going to be live today and tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday, because I've got some real world work to do. I'm putting on an event for Startup Canada in Brampton, Ontario. I'm not putting it on. I'm handling the live stream part of it for them. So I got to focus on that. And that is an all-day event on Thursday with setup on Wednesday. So I'll be sitting in the studio doing real-world stuff for that. So I won't be involved. Won't be here. Might have a show for you Friday, depending on what's going on. And then I think next week, I think I'll be coming back to you from the old Chicago studio. Haven't seen that in a while because it looks so different than this. But we are designing a new studio. I'm trying to come up with one for our season 2 of DYOR Live, and some kind of upgrades, as they call it, upgrades. And I'm trying to work partnerships with a few people to use their content. One of which is Blockchain North. Flo over at Blockchain North and I are going to start collaborating on a few things to help cover the Canadian market better. That's enough of the Canadian market today, though. Let's talk about the U.S. market. U.S. market's a disaster. And most people don't know that. Hold on, let me just give me some fake comments. Hey, hey! Oh, make sure this is working. Hey, hey, yes, it's working. All right, so to get to the heart of the matter today, one of the things that we've been talking about over and over here on this channel is the SEC and Ripple. And the SEC and insert 20 other groups. Now, the SEC's been doing a lot of prosecuting, not prosecuting, but suing enforcement actions against actual projects in the digital sphere that need to be enforced. That clearly were scamming people, actually were selling securities and weren't registering. There's all sorts of those types of things. Those are the run-of-the-mill stuff that the SEC is always doing, and they do a fine job at it. They ferreted out a whole bunch of NFT providers that were essentially selling securities and not registering, raising zillions of dollars and that type of stuff, violating the rules, and a number of other projects too. And the CFTC has been going after people operating exchanges without being regulated and licensed. And so there's been some normal enforcement stuff that's been good. But the whole SEC suing everybody because of the Biden administration's executive order, Elizabeth Warren going on a rampage, and we all know that her and Gary Gensler are frenemies, as they say. They're friends of each other, but are enemies. I guess that's not the best way to describe that. But that is exactly what's going on with them. Let me try and get the right screens up here. Anyway, so the SEC has been taking a beating. Yeah, as we all know, they're losing against Ripple again. They won a little part of their case, but they lost their appeal recently. And also, I don't know if anyone noticed, but in the past week, the SEC dropped the charges that they were putting against the Ripple executives directly. And so the executives are free and clear. Basically, Ripple is just about one more little thing away from being good to go with everything. And everyone's cheering. Woo! Volleyball hands. Woo! Woo! Slap on the butt. Everything's good. Everything's great. We're going to be great. Yeah. What everyone's not doing is, as the old saying goes, be careful what you wish for. And there's all sorts of inserts after that. Careful what you wish for. You just may get it. Be careful what you wish for. History starts now. Be careful what you wish for. The U.S. government's going to come get you. Because that's what's going on. There's two other... the U.S. government has a number of regulatory bodies. They just keep creating them, thinking that there's a gap in regulation and services. So, more of them are coming out of the woodwork. Yeah, let me see if I can get a little background music going here. Some of you don't like it, but some of you just can't stand the dead quiet. Anyway, let's bring up this group here. How many of you have heard of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau? Have you? You? Anyone? Anyone heard of the Consumer Protection Bureau? Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Most people haven't. They're a U.S. government agency dedicated to making sure that you are treated fairly by banks, lenders, and other financial institutions. Basically, this board was created out of the banking crisis in 2008, when Congress got around to passing some new laws in 2010 or 11, whenever it was. They included this Consumer Financial Protection Bureau in there. Want to protect you against those evil bankers, which is we can understand that, but as we all know, the bankers just install their people, their wonkety wonks inside these things, and then everyone's screwed. But anyway, they help. They have a big overlap with the. I don't know. There's another one out there, Consumer Protection Bureau or something like that. There's so many of them in the U.S. government. Anyway, they've received 4 million complaints. It's probably just impressions of their website from robots.txt viewing. They've given out $17.5 billion in financial relief. What that means, 200 million people are eligible for financial relief. Basically, what this government agency is saying is that because of their actions, every working adult in the United States is eligible for relief. That's right. 200 million people. Anyway, what they're doing in order to protect, where are they put out a notice of rulemaking. Enforcement actions, no. Investigative authority. I'll just tell you about it. What they want to do is apply all the e-banking rules to DeFi and to crypto. And they've got a notice out saying that they're going to be taking comments from the public about it. Which means, now I want you to understand what I just said. They're going to say, hey, all of the e-banking rules, there's regular banking rules, and then there's additional rules for e-banking, electronic transfers, all that type of stuff, which include being able to reverse transactions. Think about if you send a Zelle, or in Canada, an e-transfer or something like that, and it goes awry, or someone hacks your account and makes transactions on your behalf. In the banking world, you can get that money back. You can go to your bank, say, hey, I didn't authorize those. You can see I didn't log in. Wasn't me. And the bank has a duty to refund you your money. And the theory is that they didn't have significant enough checks to prevent that from happening. So since they, do the equation, the pain in the ass to use the product versus how much they pay out in fraud, they do a balancing act here. And so they say, all right, we know we're going to have a 2% fraud, because if we try to get rid of that 2% of fraud, it's going to make the product unusable and nobody will use it. So we're going to do that. And so you get your money back if bad things happen. Same with a debit card, credit card, that type of stuff. And now the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is saying, hey, we want to apply those rules to crypto and to DeFi. And you think, all right, well, that would be great if I could get my money back in case of fraud. Yeah, that would be good. Is it possible with blockchain transactions? Is this how the blockchain was designed, to be reversible? No, it wasn't. It was not. It was not designed that way. Good morning, Brad. Thanks for listening. Morning. Ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves the first comment of the morning. Let's get that up on the screen. Look at that. Good morning, Brad. Brad Holland of 5 Goats. Brad is doing a whole podcast series on interviewing the CEOs of companies operating in the tokenization of real-world assets. Go to 5goats.com, 5goats.xyz. And get a link to their YouTube channel, or go to YouTube and type 5 Goats. And you will see a whole series. Of we love firsts in crypto, yes. A whole series of podcasts about real world assets. and tokenization in the digital world. Good stuff. You learn a lot of good things, and you meet a lot of good people from the projects. And there's about, I think there's about 12 or 15 podcasts in there now. You quickly, if you watch a bunch of them, you can quickly figure out the CEOs that have their beep together, and the ones that don't. And the ones that are able to articulate their product and their roadmap and where they're going, and the ones that kind of just stumble through it. It's very interesting. Anyway, good job with that, Brad. But as I was saying, these guys, not these guys, that's another story. These guys, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau wants to apply e-banking rules, electronic banking rules, to crypto and DeFi, meaning that they want to have reversible transactions. They want banks, institutions to be able to reimburse for fraud. All good things, you know. It's like, yeah, it all makes sense, but that's not how DeFi was designed. And also, they want the know your customer rules applied to all of DeFi, and they want basically, I forget the other one. It was another disaster. I don't know why they just don't have it easily on their website. I had to ferret the information out on Twitter. Anyway, and I would search for it now, but I'm in the middle of the show, so I'm not going to do that. I need a production assistant. Intern, get that. I don't have an intern. Anyway, and they want some other rules that apply to that make it very similar to when you send e-transfers or use your debit card and things like that. Unfortunately, the people running the CFPB don't understand DeFi and crypto because the technology isn't designed to do that. And they come up with other things too. They're like, well, okay, that transaction is not reversible. So then someone just needs you to send you your money back. Well, who? Like, say your wallet gets hacked. You post your seed phrase on your background in a show like this, which someone very famous did recently. And within minutes, people have loaded up your wallet and are draining your wallet. So, okay, well, they say, well, okay, the transaction's irreversible, but someone just needs to then make an irreversible transaction sending you the money back. Well, first of all, the criminal would have to send you your money back, which, how many times does that happen? Doesn't happen. Maybe a white hat guy. Maybe you got lucky and someone front ran the transaction. Yeah, that happens with big hacks and things like that. Doesn't happen with wallet hacks. And that means a white hat would be looking at everyone's wallet. No, that's not going on. Or they would have to establish a fund, reimbursement fund, in which you would get money back from. Basically, as the U.S. taxpayer would fund this fund. And then you make a claim against it like insurance. But that's why we have insurance in the first place. When you get stuff stolen, you can make a claim against your homeowner's insurance. I mean, you can do that. Depends on your insurance company. Hold on, let me check the old... let's see what we got here. Oh, the viewership this morning is out of this world. Gotta love that YouTube algorithm. Oh, YouTube, I love you so much. Kind of torn whether to... I'm streaming live on Twitter. And I don't know what the best thing to do on Twitter is. It's whether to... Elon's pushing everybody to put their content on Twitter and not links elsewhere. And so they're deprioritizing posts with links in them. I mean, if you put a link to YouTube, it used to go right into people's feed that follow you. And now it's like LinkedIn. It may or may not hit their feed. And so instead of sending people to YouTube, where my show is monetized, I'm live on Twitter. And first of all, no viewers, but nobody from Twitter now clicking over to YouTube to watch and, of course, comment. And of course, nobody's watching it on Twitter either. So you're stuck. So anyway, I'm trying to figure that out, which is the best way. See if Elon will give the old Striking Balls account a boost over on Twitter. Anyway, I digress. I digress. Let's do one more checkup here. Oh, YouTube. Come on, YouTubers. As I always ask, please like, share, comment, follow, like, notify. Whatever it is, please do it. I'm just checking on my feed here on YouTube, and I'm letting the commercials play. It's not playing. Sigh. Anyway, so we have the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau in trying to put rules on that will eviscerate DeFi. The state of Illinois tried this once. They had a bill that passed one house and didn't pass another one. It said, sorry, because of fraud, all crypto transactions need to be reversible, just like a wire transfer. And I even had contact with the office of the person that was doing it. And I was like, you guys know that this is not how that works? And they're like, yeah, that's how it works. Electronic transactions, you can just reverse them. I was like, no, that's not at all how it works. And they were insistent on it. They were insistent, well, all you have to do is just pass the bill and industry will go ahead and do it. And I was like, well, this is a worldwide industry. This is not an Illinois thing. And in his defense, he's like, well, that's what we did for Facebook. And Facebook listened to us and acquiesced, and it was a big deal. Illinois passed a law saying that you can't use people's biometric information without express consent. Not buried in terms and conditions down far, but like actual express. Like, we are going to use your headshot in this ad over here. And do you think Facebook followed those rules? No, they didn't. So the state of Illinois sued Facebook for billions of dollars and won. I don't know why this is not working now. And so they won. And basically everyone's on a Facebook account user in Illinois got a check for $20 some. I was like, hey, I got a check for $20 from Facebook. It was very nice. Thank you, Facebook, for buying me a round of beers. Right now, YouTube isn't working. Sigh. Let's try and relaunch YouTube here. All right, now the ads work. Anyway, so we had the Consumer Protection Bureau trying to put all the banking rules onto crypto, and nobody's talking about this. This isn't getting all the influencers up in arms. Wendy O's not talking about this. All the usual suspects that talk about how the U.S. government is smashing crypto, not talking about this. Because all they do is focus on the SEC. Yay, SEC bad, Ripple good, woo, we win. And then all the other U.S. government agencies, which there's a myriad of, say, how can we screw these guys and make ourselves look good in the eyes of the presidential administration? I can go on forever about politics and policy writing in the U.S. government and how people get promoted, but I will spare you, and I already did that a little bit once. But now we'll move on to, as they say, the real beast in the room. Let me just check. Yeah, no Pedro yet. All right, I don't think Pedro's going to be with us today. Anyway, here we go. We have the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, otherwise known as FinCEN. FinCEN's created in 1990 with the update of the Bank Secrecy Act. And the U.S. government created a whole can of whoop-ass with this agency and didn't anticipate that it was going to come. And now it's one of these things that it can grow from mission creep without any really oversight at all. And no congressman wants to touch it because because it has the word crimes in it, as soon as they try to like restrict their powers and all that, they get labeled soft on crime. Right. But what's going on here with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network is they were set up a long time ago to set up a central database in order so the U.S. government could better track money laundering and tax cheats and all that type of stuff. And makes sense. The U.S. government had 93 different databases. Let's have a central group that does it. Except they gave them, the problem is they didn't just say go do this, they gave them rulemaking authority. And when Congress has rulemaking authority, it says you're allowed to make all the rules needed to do your business and regulations to a point. But there's no one real watching that point. I mean, Congress is doing a little, or the Supreme Court just recently did a little bit of anti-rulemaking stuff by in a case that the EPA made extra rules, and then they said Congress never gave you that authority to do that. That's a whole different discussion. But in any way, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network has the ability to say, all right, we've identified a gap in money laundering, and so we're going to make new rules. And they've made some doozies. Do you know that when you buy a house for cash, say you bought a condo for $200,000, or you sold your condo for $200,000, sold your condo, and you moved out into Central Arkansas and said, I'm just buying a little joint for $100,000. So you have cash. You have $100,000 equity from selling your $200,000. You paid off your mortgage, and you got $100,000. If you buy that new house for cash, the title company is obligated to report you to the federal government. Did you know that? Do you know? Or if you place a deposit on a house that is outsized compared to the average, they have to report you as suspicious. Not just suspicious. They just have to report you so that transaction goes into the great government database. That's right. Title companies have to report non-financed transactions or oddly financed transactions. That's what our government now does. Did you know if you go buy a car for cash? If you go buy a car for cash, guess what? Get reported to the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. That's right. That's right, because you may be a criminal. Now, what was the purpose of doing the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network and doing all of this? Let's see how many of the viewers here of my massive viewership here today understand what the purpose of this was. And for that matter, the original anti-money laundering rules from 1972 or 73 or so, they were to stop the really large tax cheats. People that were, in today's dollars, many hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars they're not declaring on their income, literally buying islands for cash, this type of stuff. But when they made these rules, they never indexed them for inflation. So as, back in the day, in the early 70s, $10,000 was the same as about $100,000 now. And so they were looking for, in today's dollars, cash transactions over $100,000 just to pay attention to. And now it's any transaction over $10,000. And in some cases, any transaction at all. Or if you use an e-payment group like PayPal, something like that, you need to submit all your transactions now or something. I don't know what the rule is, but it's a whole bunch of them. It's nuts. It's nuts, I say. I'm going to repost this here. So let's see if I can pin this. Main start beeping. No. Filter. No. Filter. No. Nope. Not that one. I thought I could pin messages. Let's just put it back again. Repost it. Welcome. YouTube can drive me crazy. Hey, welcome everybody watching on Twitch. I appreciate it. Appreciate both of you. We're live on Kick today also. Keep trying Kick to see if we can get any viewers over there. Get anybody to stop watching their hula hoop girls and come on over and watch a little morning crypto talk show. Twitch is usually good for me. Usually I get Crypto Mike from, I don't know, Winnipeg or something like that. And of course, over in the Striking Balls Crypto Smackdown room, yeah, someone came in and watched that for a little bit too. So we're kind of all over the place here, trying to get the word out. But before I keep going on about the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network and the things that we're going to make you an illegal use of crypto here soon, we're going to talk about our sponsor. Our sponsor here, Audit Chain, over my shoulder, is in the business of auditing financial statements. It's the best way to describe it. In this short notice, I have on my 30-second elevator pitch about them. It's basically when all the filings on Edgar Online and the European equivalent, and in fact for 100 regulatory agencies in 60 jurisdictions, Audit Chain is able to electronically ingest and review their public statements and look for errors, missing disclosures, math errors, all types of things that would take the big four accounting firms or other auditing firms ages to do with a fleet of people. Audit Chain's developed a way to do it in minutes. And they use the public blockchain for it, so the results of their audits are forever recorded and immutable. And it means that you can build your own inquiries yourself. Anyway, as I always say, instead of having listening here to me talk about it, why don't we run the sponsor message here and listen to, me talk about it.
Most of you know that crypto exchanges have been taking a beating about transparency, and many groups out there are trying to solve that. But Audit Chain has already done that. Audit Chain's protocols and network of validators can mathematically prove that a company's entire financial state, not just proof of reserves, but a proof of state, and whether or not that company is providing accurate reporting and information to the respective government regulators and to the public. Seriously, you and I can check crypto companies and traditional companies' financial reports for transparency and accuracy using a logic and reasoning engine called Pacioli that records its output where? On the blockchain. Seriously, ladies and gentlemen, blockchain technology is now able to be used to check on traditional companies. Behind me is a list of companies that comprise the S&P 500, S&P 100. In essence, the largest U.S. companies by size. More than one quarter, 29 out of 100, have problems with their reports. Remember, accounting and other corporate systems are garbage in and garbage out. So if there are problems with the data out for these companies, in red here, what does that mean? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. There are problems with the data going in. And this was figured out not by accounting or auditing firms and fleets of consultants. This was compiled and reported on by Audit Chain's Pacioli validating nodes and took only 5 minutes. It's revolutionary and it's a disruptor technology. Audit Chain.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Audit Chain. You can go find them at auditchain.finance. Get hooked up with their master of ceremonies there, Jason Myers, their lead architect who puts this whole thing together. And in fact, they're hiring. They've got some positions that they're looking for both Europe and in Europe to start out with. They're based in Switzerland. And so if you are a business development executive in software as a service type stuff with a CPA background, chartered public accountant background, chief financial officer, that type of stuff, and understand financial reporting and assurance, go check out their website because they are looking for people like you. All right, back to the heart of the matter here. This is starting to, yes, it kind of looks like the Death Star for a reason, because their mandate and their mission creep, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, is growing. It's growing, and they're putting out new rules all the time. In fact, they even have a little page here that lists all their new rules. They're increasing their announced renewal and expansion of its geographic targeting orders. How about that? Here's an agency that all of us as people now in the United States need to pay attention to and comply with their rules. When we shouldn't. A random U.S. government agency is not the... they can do their rules to keep the U.S. government and that stuff running well and all that, but they should not be promulgating rules that individuals like us have to worry about. That's not how we're supposed to live our lives. We're not supposed to live our lives as citizens of the United States, making it easier for government agencies to surveil us and keep track of us. That's not how this is ever designed to work, and there's going to be a coming to blows here soon about this. Hopefully the Speaker of the House will be elected, and they'll have a more restrictive eye on government surveillance and what they can track us for. Because this is one of them. It's too much. Having to report car sales, and really anything of value now has to be reported to them. So that the government has an easy way to track everything. And that's not the point of living in a modern day financial system. It's not for the government to be able to track everything. Just imagine if they added the CBDC to this. They'd be able to track everything completely. Down to wanted to buy a new coffee cup? Yep, government knows about it. And you can get a lot of trouble for breaking financial crimes rules. I mean, it's not like murder in Chicago where you get a slap on the wrist or carjacking or something like that. It's jail time in federal prison, so it's not good stuff. Anyway, and they put out a lot of things about Hamas financing and all that type of stuff, and that means because Hamas got some money, they're going to put new rules on us now. We'll be able to, like, every time we go to McDonald's, have to report that, a source of our income and all that type of shit. Basically, in their eyes, unless you get a W-2, which is a income statement, wages and earnings statement from a registered employer in the United States, your income is suspicious to them. That's the way it is. Anyway, they have a whole bunch of new stuff here. Proposes insane special measures. FinCEN proposes regulations that would allow them to force businesses to report transaction details on almost anything they want. Yesterday's rule was incredibly overbroad, comprehensive, and perfectly designed to allow arbitrary information collecting. They want all regulated entities, banks, financial institutions, and like casinos to by default submit reports of any transactions interacting with mixing services. Mixing services now. So what they're trying to do is saying groups like Tornado Cash. If you have a wallet and you notice that someone transacted with you that has links to a mixing service, you have to report that. That's right. You have to report that, and that means anybody. It means not you and me and people, but any entity. Currently, most exchanges and businesses keep these records anyway, but they do not by default send copies to the government unless deeper inspection merits a reason to do so. So these are the things that they are now suspicious and will become basically illegal. That means institutions won't be allowed to do business with you, or everything will be marked problematic. Pooling or aggregating of funds for multiple persons' wallets, addresses, or accounts means you can't have a wallet with more than just your own money in it. Multiple persons pooling and aggregating funds together. Multi-sig wallets held by multiple people in general are doing the same thing, just combining a recent withdrawal from Coinbase with coins you had from Kraken. In the point of view of both exchanges is pooling funds from multiple addresses. According to the language of this proposal, something that just happens on a regular basis in the normal course using Bitcoin with no attempt whatsoever to obscure or render private anything about the activity fits into the definition of mixing. So they can't use any mixing service or basically mix money with other people. Say, I want to mix crypto funds with that of my kids, and I can't do it. Obscuring the ownership. Using programmatic or algorithmic code to coordinate, manage, or manipulate the structure of a transaction. That's right. That's the rule. Again, this covers the Lightning Network. Co-joins fall into this definition. In fact, you know what? This is so ridiculous and absurdly broad, it doesn't even specify. Here, let's bring this over here so I can read this better. It doesn't even specify manipulating the structure of a transaction to attain obfuscation for the source of the funds. This literally encompasses any piece of Bitcoin software that handles making and signing transactions. 100% of the transactional activity of the Bitcoin blockchain out of sheer logic necessity fits in this definition of mixing. All right, they're going a little far with that. But generally, if you write a smart contract or code, you have to write that code so that the transaction is never obfuscated and the money is not mixed in with other pools before completing. And if you have an option, when you're writing the code, if you have an option to use a simpler method versus one that may make it more complicated, you by law will have to use the simpler one. So there actually is will be a law saying how you can code. This is basically what it looks like as FinCEN went to chain analysis and said, hey, what makes everything easier? And they said, well, these things. All right, let's make them a law. Splitting funds up for transmittal or transmitting the funds to a series of independent transactions. What that means is that you will not be allowed, if you want to send $15,000 or 15,000 USDT to somebody, you have to send it to them in one batch. You can't split it up into smaller ones to do it. So, here's a good example. We'll just say, pretend I am a millionaire. This is a good pretend. Pretend I'm a millionaire. If I were to, for the first time ever, I needed to move $1 million from one account to another. Do I do that? Do I just, on the very first time I enter the numbers in and do it? Does anybody or a large percentage of whatever money you have in crypto? Do you do that all the first? No, you send a small transaction and make sure it works. You're like, yeah, okay, that works. Especially sending to an exchange with a memo. You send a small transaction, it worked, great. Do it again, and send the balance of it. You might even do it a number of times, 3 or 4 times to split it all up. For an exact reason that they say will be illegal. Maybe you don't want it to become noticed to your friends in your trading group or whatever that may be watching your wallet that you're moving $1 million out of their project or something like that. Maybe you want to move things slowly out. Can't do that anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Nope. Illegal. FinCEN says nope. Nope, can't do that. Because that obfuscates the true intent. How about this one? Creating and using single-use wallets. Nope. Addresses or accounts, sending funds to such wallets or addresses as a series of independent transactions. Can't do that anymore either. Nope, won't be allowed to do that. Meaning that, say you want to get some money into DeFi, you bring it to an exchange, and then, or it's from an exchange, you don't want everyone to notice all your other transactions, what you got going on, and so you say, all right, I'm just going to create a new wallet. That one wallet, boom, and then you move it over across a bridge into Etherland or whatever. Nope, can't do that. That's a single-use wallet. No single-use wallets anymore. Illegal. Can't do that. Or just create, if you wanted to wallet hop to kind of break the chain up. I mean, it's so easy to follow them, but still people do that. They wallet hop. And so if you want to move money through other wallets, can't do it. You must send it directly. So what the government here, FinCEN, is saying, you must use the principles of DeFi. You must send from one party to another. Not use intermediaries. Yet the other part of the government, CFTC and everything, is saying, you're not allowed to send directly to each other. You must use intermediaries. Gotta love it. Exchanging between types of cryptocurrencies or other digital assets. So every time, if you wanted to send Tether from me to you, you have to send Tether from me to you. You can't buy Bitcoin and then send them some Bitcoin and also send them some Tether too. You must pick the cryptocurrency you want and send it to them directly and not go through other ones to obfuscate it. Everyone's mixing. You're not allowed to mix anything. Also, facilitating or user-initiated delays in transaction activity. Basically, you have to send it to them, and they have to receive it right away. You can't send it to a service that says, hold this, and don't pay them now. Pay that later. Like an escrow service. Yeah, that's a good point. They could say an escrow service is now illegal. Anyway, time locks, because that's what Tornado Cash does and other things. You send it in, and then later they send it out to kind of ruin the chain analysis of it. And so the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network is saying all of this stuff is illegal. It's not yet. They're putting out rules to make it illegal. And they put out a rule. The definition of cryptocurrency mixer is any person, group, service, code, tool, or function that facilitates cryptocurrency mixing. Unbelievable. Of course, no such blah, blah, blah. Here's the information. Within 30 days of being noticed by a business is subject to the proposed rule that would be required to be reported to the government for every single transaction. The amount of cryptocurrency transferred, native units, and U.S. dollar value at the time, cryptocurrency involved, the mixer service protocol, any addresses associated with the user, transaction IDs, data of the transaction, IP addresses, a narrative explaining the context, transaction itself, and how the institution tried to mitigate it. Terms of private information, government needs a full name, date of birth, full address, email address, and the IRS taxpayer identification number or foreign equivalent. How about that? How about that? Oh, this is a whole bunch of other shows, ladies and gentlemen. But I wanted to get all that stuff on the record. It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. Anyway, that's all the show we have today. We're going to talk more about this week. Probably going to break it down to individual pairs. We'll talk about this tomorrow morning. Definitely tomorrow morning. Also, likely on Friday if we're able to pull that show together. If not, I'll see you next week from the old Chicago. Well, I'll see you tomorrow on Tuesday. But anyway, these are all important topics, and tomorrow we'll be talking about how you can make comments and fight back against it, and that type of stuff. Anyway, as they say, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here in the digital media world. It's October 23rd. Our show has come to an end. We'll see you tomorrow.